Hey all, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are finally doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I feel like I am so behind the curve. I feel like everyone has already posted this tag. Even though I'm filming this at the end of June, I feel like I am just so behind. So we are finally here to do the mid-year book tag, and this is just a tag where you can kind of wrap up everything you've been reading this year. I am so excited to be on YouTube this year to do this. I do this every year over on my Instagram, but this will be my first year doing it over on YouTube. And if you want to do this on your Instagram, I will have new templates coming super soon. So you can give me a follow over on Instagram if you want to do this tag over there. I wanted to kick this off with just like a few little stats. First of all, I've read 111 books so far this year, which is by far the most I've ever read in the first 6 months of the year. And I technically still have 2 days left in June, and I do plan to finish at least 2 more books because I'm halfway through them. Almost all of them are romance books. If you watched my quarter 1 wrap up, which I will link in all the places, I talked about how there was only like 3 books that didn't fit into the romance genre, and it's pretty much the same thing for quarter 2, and my quarter 2 wrap up where I talk about all my stats and stuff like that will be coming very soon. I've had an amazing reading year. I have had so many 5-star books, and I don't know if I'm becoming a more lenient rater or if I'm just picking up this many amazing books, but I've had an outstanding reading year. There are a lot of different versions of this tag floating around. I grabbed my list from Kayla from Books and Lala, who will be linked down in the description box. I just really liked the version that she had over on her channel. There are 16 total questions, so let's get right into the tag. So kicking it off with probably the hardest question in the entire tag, and that is, what is your favorite book of the year? And of course, I couldn't narrow it down to just one, but narrowed it down to 2. So I'm pretty proud of myself. So the 2 books are You and Me by Tal Bauer, which is an single dad romance, which has the best found family. It made me cry. It is sweet and heartwarming and heartbreaking and all of the things. And I just loved everything about this book. If you watched one of my most recent vlogs, you get to see me cry over this book. And then the other one is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman, and this is a dark romance following our 2 main characters who are kidnapped, and they spend, I think, like 4 weeks in a basement, and they are forced to do some really, really terrible things, and the majority of the book is them after the fact trying to come back to the real world and cope with their trauma and falling in love. The reasons why I loved these 2 books is actually very similar for both of them. One, they made me cry. Any book that can make me cry as hard as these 2 books did are automatic top favorites. And 2, these are the peak examples of a book, a romance, that made me straight up believe that these characters are soulmates. And again, that is just, it's such a difficult thing to get me to believe, and both of these did it, so both of them are absolute all-time new favorites. Question 2 is, what is the best sequel you've read? And again, I couldn't narrow it down, so I have 3. The first one being House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. I loved this even more than book 1, and I was so nervous going into this. 1, it's massive. This book is 800 and some pages. It's massive. I feel sometimes like I love everything that Sarah J. Maas writes, and sometimes I feel like I'm overhyping it in my own head, and what if the next book doesn't live up to my hype? And they always do, but I was a little nervous. I ended up reading this in like 2 days. The next book is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tissa Bailey. This is the follow-up to It Happened One Summer, and we're following Hannah and Fox. They have a friends to lovers romance, forced proximity. It was a fantastic. This is one of those books that I knew was going to be 5 stars from like page 3. And then the last one is The Long Game by Rachel Reed, which is the much anticipated follow-up to The Heated Rivalry. We are again following Shane and Isla, and this is what happens after that first book. It is them trying to figure out whether or not to go public with their relationship and how much they want to share. and it was everything that I wanted out of another romance. I would read 100 more romances with these two. These are, to this date, two of my all-time favorite characters, and I loved them. I loved the sequel. 10 out of 10. Question 3 is, what is your favorite reread? And I've actually done quite a bit of rereading this year. However, the majority of them are, 1, the Throne of Glass series, and then 2, like if a sequel is coming out, I'm rereading the first book or 2 in the series. So I had a hard time choosing which one to pick since most of them were the start of a series, but I ended up going with Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood, for the reason that the first time that I read this, I didn't really like the first 200, 250 pages. I thought like the first 100 pages was so slow, and I wasn't sure if this series was going to be for me. And upon a reread, I loved every second of this book. That first 250 pages is so important, and upon reread, there were so many little things that I picked up on here that I didn't the first time, and I loved this so much more the second time. And I gave it 5 stars the first time through, but on reread, not only did I, like I said, pick up on all those little things, but I sobbed so many times in here. Question number 4 is, what is a genre you've been loving or reading the most? And like I said at the beginning, I read almost exclusively romance, so this question I'm going with subgenre. And it's not necessarily one that I've read the most from, because that's probably contemporary romance. However, I've fallen in love with dark romances this year. I've read quite a few of them, and I have not wanted to stop. So I have read like the entirety of the Necessary Evil series, as well as the Bodyguard one. I'm totally blanking on the series, but I'll pop up the first book right here. And so I've read the majority of this. I have read Trilogy by Pam Godwin. I have started the spin-off by Pam Godwin. I read The Devil Duet by Ashley Jade, The Satan's Affair by H.D. Carlton, which is the prequel to her Hunting Adelaide series. I've been absolutely loving dark romances. I keep wanting to pick them up and go back to them, so that is probably the subgenre that I've been most excited about. Question number 5 is, what new release haven't you read yet but want to? And there are a ton of them. I am pretty good about keeping up with new releases. I read a lot of new releases. However, there's always new releases that I just don't have time to get to or end up putting off. I have a couple of them right here. We have Something Wilder by Christina Lauren, have The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes by Kat Sebastian, which I have started but I haven't finished, American Royalty by Tracy Livesey. I have to look up how to say her last name, Hide by Kirsten White. I have June 1st by Jennifer Hartman, Nettle and Bone by T. King Fisher, the Never King series by Nikki St. Crow. There's a lot. There's a lot of new releases that I want to read still. Question number 6 is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And I do have one book for this. My most anticipated book for the second half of the year is Love on the Brain by Ellie Hazelwood. I am so excited to read this. I still do not know what the plot of this book is, but The Love Hypothesis is one of my all-time favorite romances, and I cannot wait to read more from Ellie Hazelwood. Number 7 is, what is your biggest disappointment? And I have 2, 3 kinda. So the first one is A Shadow in the Ember by JLA. I shouldn't be disappointed by this. This is a spin-off of her, what is that series called? Blood and Ash? Is that what that series is called? And that series has been a roller coaster for me, but this is a spin-off. And I had high hopes because people were saying that they really liked this, and I DNF'd this one. I think I got to like page 300 or something, and I couldn't do it. And then the other one is kind of a twofer, and that is Electric Idol and Wicked Beauty. If you have watched my video, I will link that up in the cards and down in the description box, but you watched me rant about Wicked Beauty, and these two are just such duds for me. I'm not going to go into it again because I've talked about it a lot. I didn't like them, and they were very, very disappointing. Question number 8 is what is your biggest surprise of the year? And again, I have one book for this. Look at me. Who am I? But it is A Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker. And the reason why this was such a big surprise, one, it was 5 stars. Didn't see that coming. But two, this book came out, I think it came out in 2021. Yeah, it came out last year. And it was like on my radar, but not really something I was planning to prioritize. And I ended up putting it on, I think, my 22 books to read in 2022 or something like that. And it ended up getting picked for one of our book club picks over on Bree's channel from In Love and Words. And I ended up just picking it up randomly for that book club. And I loved this. I gave it 5 stars and I just did not see that coming. I thought that this was going to be fun and a good time, but I did not see myself absolutely loving this book, and I did. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to continue on with the series, so this is definitely my biggest surprise of the year. Question number 9 is what are some new favorite authors, either debut or new to you? And I have 3. So the first one being Tal Bauer, who I have read quite a few books from now. I have read You and Me, I've started the Jock, and I've been reading his Enemies of the State series, and I have given everything that I've read of his 5 stars. Another one is Pam Godwin, and this is one that I didn't see coming. Whatever her like priest novel is with like the student and the priest, I read a short story from like that world and I hated it. And so I was like, oh, what if Pam Godwin isn't for me? And then I read the Tangled Vows trilogy, and now I'm on to this Deliver Us. I think it's the Deliver series, if I'm remembering correctly, and I've loved all of them. And now I want to read everything that Pam Godwin has written, except for that priest book. And then the last one is Chloe Leese, and I don't know why I slept on Chloe Leese for so long, but I have now read her entire Bergman Brothers series as well as her Christmas novella, which I also gave 5 stars, and I'm obsessed with her books. And that takes us right into question 10, which is who is your favorite new character? And for this, I am going with the entire Bergman family. I am so in love with the Bergman family. I couldn't choose just one brother. That's the problem, is I couldn't choose just one brother or sibling. I love their significant others. I love the parents. I love this family so much. I want them to be real so that I can go to their amazing cabin and hang out with them all. And I love them. They're my favorite characters. Question number 11 is what is a book that made you cry? And for this one, I'm just gonna re-mention the 2 books that are my favorites, and those were Still Beating and You and Me by Tal Bauer. These are the books that made me cry the hardest. Like I was teary-eyed through the entirety of Still Beating, and You and Me made me sob for like the last, I don't know, 30 minutes in the book, which is exactly why they are my favorites. Question number 12 is what is a book that made you happy? And for that, I'm gonna go with the Steminist trilogy, that audio series by Ellie Hazelwood. And all 3 of these were just so cute and so fun. They're really short, quick reads that you can just kind of like put on and listen to and feel happy. Like they are just really enjoyable, good times. And I loved them. All of these got 5 stars for me. Question number 13 is what is the most beautiful book you bought so far this year? For me, the most beautiful book is Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. This entire cover is foiled, and I just love the details on this cover. Like there's so much beautiful art on here. And then there's the black sprayed edges. I love the end papers in here, and I just think that this book is absolutely stunning. It is also signed, and of course, this being the most beautiful book that I have gotten this year, I haven't read it yet. Question number 14 is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I have, I think, 26 unread arcs for the rest of the year already. So I'm going to go with all 26 of those. Question number 15 is what is your favorite video or post you've done so far this year? And I had to look back at my videos because I was like, have I done anything cool? But my personal favorite video series thing that I've done so far this year is my KU series. I did a 3-part series where I went through everything that was in my KU TBR. I read the first chapter of all 20 of those books, and then I ranked them and read the top 4. And I'm actually really proud of that series. It took a lot of time, and I'm just really proud of myself for carrying through with all 3 videos of that because, like I said, it took me an entire day to get through all the first chapters of those 20 books. So I'm just really proud of that series. If you haven't given it a watch, I will link it down in the description box, but I'm just really proud of that series. And then the final question is, who are your favorite book community members? And I'm going to have a whole ton of people that I love down in the comments, both over here on YouTube as well as over on Instagram. I have found a really good community this year. In the past, I always thought people were like exaggerating when they were like, I have found so many friends. And I was like, how? I don't talk to anybody. But over the last year or so, I've gotten to know a lot of people. I've started putting myself out there and actually talking to people via DMs. And I've just met some really amazing people. So I'm going to have them down in the description box. And that is it for this tag. Those are some highlights from the first half of the year. Like I said, I've had so many really, really good books, and I'm just really excited to see how the second half of the year goes because there are some amazing releases coming. I have some good, exciting reading plans coming. And yeah, that is going to be it for this video. If you haven't done this yet, or if you have done this, please link your video down in the description box so that I can give it a watch, and I will catch you all in my next video. Bye.